Now let's switch to the camera, and we want to be at the same exact spot. It's not essential, but it gives it a nice symmetry. So going back to SketchUp, you can use your keyframe jumper or type 90 right here so we're at the moment that the object stops spinning and starts going back the other way. I'm going to go to the camera and notice there are no keyframes. So the first keyframe we set for the camera is going to be at frame 90. That means it's going to be still and not move for the first 3 seconds. Right click on the position and rotation by inserting keyframes, right click, insert keyframes. It does all 3 XYZ and XYZ. Now we're going to go to the end, because at the end we're going to be looking down at the model. To look down at the model, I simply hold down the scroll button and pull down. That has my view looking down from above, but we want the camera to look down from above. So I need to bring the camera to this location. One of the ways to do that is to press Ctrl-Alt-0 on the number pad. Now the camera is looking down at the model, and we can see a little bit more of the inside. I need it to remember this location, but I can also adjust it just a little bit. I'm going to increase my Z value a little bit and tweak the X value so it's a little more centered. If you have a little bit of extra space, that does make this process easier. But you definitely don't want it to be really, really small. That's a real waste because we can't really see the details. So position it with a little bit of room around it. Now I need to insert a keyframe. If I move, I'm going to lose this position for the camera. So I wanted to remember this. Instead of clicking all these diamonds, just right click and insert keyframes. So now the camera knows I'm going to be here for the first 3 seconds. At the end of the video, I'll be looking down. It's the in-between part we need to fix now. And you can see that it leaves the frame from here to here. So we're going to insert some fixer keyframes, not by going to the first part where it's out of the frame. You'll end up with very unsmooth movement of the camera. We're going to split the difference. Go right in between those 2 keyframes, and this is where our first fixer keyframe is going to go. Let's change our X value. It's now inside the frame, but it's really, really close. So let's move it a little bit further away and adjust our Z value so that we have some room here. Now, let me show you that again. We know that it goes down, so the bottom may need a little more room. So let me do that again. I'm going to insert my fixer keyframe after moving it away, getting a little bit more room. I'm going to leave more space at the bottom than at the top. Right click, insert keyframes. I always do both, just in case. Now we're going to see how that did. So we did pretty good. We leave, but not for very long and not very much. But we do need one more fixer keyframe. It's not the first moment that this goes out. Always go to the middle and just get further away from it. If this was in the frame, but it was out here, I'm still going to go to the middle and give myself a little space. So I'm going to go here and then adjust my Z. It's why we line the camera up on the red line. If we had to do the Y as well, it really gets complicated. Right click, insert keyframes again, and then see if that worked. So now from here, it stays in the frame. We start seeing it at an angle. And we do have a little problem right there. We run out of room at the top. Now right here in the middle, we don't have a problem, but we still need more room at the top. So I'm going to move away from it and not adjust the X this time. I'm going to leave that space up there and just insert another keyframe. This is where it's a little tricky because you think you need to put the keyframe where it's going out, but you get very jerky movement of the camera. We still pretty much fix that. It's just barely doing a little bit of cutoff at the top. So let me jump to that keyframe and give myself a little bit more room. Now I want to change that keyframe. I adjusted it. I need to replace my keyframes there. Replace. And see if that did the trick. So now it stays in the frame, except for right there. Maybe that's a little high. So one more fixer should do it. I'm going to move it back a little bit and see if that works. So I'm going to insert keyframes right there and insert. So I'm really trying to keep it as close to the camera as possible, which does mean more fixers. It's also a shape that has a little bit taller. Really tall ones, you'll have to be pretty far away. So let's watch that. Even with that careful splitting of the keyframes, the camera does jostle around a little bit, but now we've got a video that will really show this off from every angle. Now looking right here, maybe the light should be a little bit higher to illuminate a little more of the top. Shouldn't really change too much on the side view, but the top was a little dark. Next, we'll render this for export.